Snoop Dogg called them Uncle Toms. 2017. Any black artist willing to perform for Donald Trump? Uncle Tom, that's what he said.
Everybody gonna perform for Donald Trump, huh? Which one of you jigaboo ass niggas gonna be the first one to do it? I'm waiting. I'm gonna roast the out one of you Uncle Tom ass for doing it. Which one of you niggas gonna do it first? I was the one that performs for himself.
2,000 years later.
2,000 years later, January 2025, Snoop Dogg performed at Trump's crypto ball.
Hey, bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man.
30 minutes, he said. Made a whole bunch of money, he said. And when fans called him a sellout, he slid into their DMs. You big ass ninja, what you want to do? That was his defense.
What's so unfortunate? So unnecessary.
A threat. And last week at Red Rocks, exotic dancer on a pole, child on stage, internet goes crazy. His response? Her parents were there. Sorry, try again, carry on. Same move, different situation. By the end of this video, you are gonna see that pattern so clearly, you will never be able to watch a Snoop Dogg interview the same way again. Because what Snoop has been running for the last 15 months on Trump, on his fans, on the LGBTQ community, is not a series of bad moments. It is a 3-move playbook. Dismiss, threaten, pivot. Just a bunch of
bullshit. 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 Bullshit.
Last week, Snoop Dogg performed at Red Rocks in Colorado. 420 concert. Ice Cube on the bill. Thousands of people in the crowd. During Drop It Like It's Hot, exotic dancer on a pole, doing her thing, Snoop notices a little girl up from the audience. Fast forward, the kid on stage clapping hands while the stripper is clapping her ass. Crowd goes crazy. Snoop's hyping her up the whole time. Snoop sees the backlash, hops in the comments, and here's what he said. Under fire, her father let her get on stage. Her parents were there. Sorry, try again, carry on. Not, my bad, I should have thought about that. Or, I hear the concern, just carry on, move along. Nothing to see here.
What's so unfortunate, so unnecessary.
Of course a kid shouldn't be at a 420 concert. Of course, but that word, that energy, I have heard it before. And that is where this story actually starts. Because to understand why that response felt so familiar, you have to go back to 2017. Trump's first inauguration is coming. Artists are getting offers to perform. Most of the black artists in hip hop are saying no. And Snoop Dogg is not quiet about what he thinks of the ones who say yes. He calls them Uncle Toms on camera. Any black artist willing to stand on that stage and perform for Donald Trump, Uncle Tom. That is the verdict he delivers publicly with zero hesitation. Then 2019, government shutdown, federal workers going without pay. Snoop records a video message.
I just want to say this real quick, not on the political shit. For you people for the federal government that got not getting paid right now, ain't no way in the world y'all can vote for Donald Trump when he come back up again. If y'all do vote for him, y'all some stupid mother. I'm saying that to y'all early. All you federal government people that's not being paid, that's being treated unfairly right now, not being paid, that's so terrible. And this punk motherfucker don't care. So I'm saying that to say this. When it get back on and y'all get y'all jobs back and it's time to vote for that nigga, please don't. Look what he do. He just don't give a f. Y'all honest, blue-collar, hard-working people and suffering. So if he don't care about y'all, he really don't give a f about us. So f him too. F everybody down with Donald Trump. I said a year, Snoop Dogg, nigga. F him. You gonna shut the government down, nigga. You's a piece of shit.
And guess what? You obviously don't care about us either. You care about your own pocket, and that's it. And in that same window, he dropped Lavender, a music video where he pointed a toy gun at a clown dressed as Trump and pulled the trigger. That was not a subtle critique. That was a man who wanted you to know exactly where he stood. That is the public record that existed before January 2025. A man who built 30 years on never switching up with his own words as the evidence. Now watch what happens when the bag changes. In 2024, Donald Trump pardoned Michael Harry O. Harris. Harry O. was the co-founder of Death Row Records, the label that launched Snoop's career. The man had been in prison for 30 years on drug and murder conspiracy charges. 30 years, and Trump let him out. Watch what happens to Snoop's language after that. Almost immediately, the tone shifts. In an interview, he said, "Donald Trump, he ain't done nothing wrong to me. He has done only great things for me." Huh? He pardoned Michael Harris. So now you respect the punk. Respect for the man whose voters were stupid motherfuckers. For the president whose performers were Uncle Toms. The pardon came first. The love came second.
You're showing me how unserious you are.
This is called a transaction. And this is what most coverage of the crypto ball completely missed. Everyone was treating it like Snoop just had a weird moment, like he got confused, like maybe he changed his politics. Nah, he told you exactly why he flipped. The quote is right there. He has done only great things for me, not for the community, or for Long Beach, for me. So when Snoop stepped on that crypto ball stage in January 2025, it was not a slip. It was not a surprise either. It was the predictable end of a calculation that started the moment Harry O walked out of prison. The only question left is, what did Snoop do when the people who trusted him for 30 years started asking questions? The clip dropped fast. Snoop on stage at the crypto ball alongside Rick Ross and Soulja Boy, performing for a room full of people celebrating Donald Trump's return to the White House. The same Donald Trump he spent 8 years telling you was a punk. The same stage he said only Uncle Tom's would stand on. The backlash was immediate. Fans flooded his comments. Sellout, traitor. You said what you said in 2017. Now look at you. And here is where the playbook runs for the first time in full. First move, dismiss. Snoop goes on the Breakfast Club. I DJ'd at the crypto ball for what? 30 minutes? That is the BS defense. G's don't explain shit. Then proceeded to explain himself.
Now you got social media. So when you look at all the stuff that you do, you know, whether it's the football league that got so many kids in the NFL and the give backs and all the things that we can go on and on and on. And then you hear people's opinions on when you did the crypto ball. Mm-hmm. Does that bother you?
No, I call it 30 for 30. Let me explain that to you.
Mm-hmm.
I DJ'd at the crypto ball for what, 30 minutes. Made a whole bunch of money, made a lot of relationships to help out the inner city and the community and teach financial literacy and crypto in a space that it don't exist. That's 30 minutes. 30 years, Snoop Dogg been doing great things for the community, building, showing up, standing up for the people, making it happen, being all I can be. So which one is it? 30 for 30. 30 minutes or 30 years?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is it a crime?
Nope.
I hated that, man. I ain't gonna lie. I hated how they came at you.
And I love how my people defended me, but I didn't give y'all no ammunition. Meaning that I never said nothing. So it was kind of becoming like, damn, man, y'all keep riding on Dog and I ain't finna have that. Y'all can't, but damn, he ain't said nothing. So it's like, I can't fight for another man that ain't gonna fight for itself. Mm-hmm. So tomorrow, is it a crime? I'm fighting.
And then they kept taking the video saying, well, he said this about Trump back then, but then he DJ. But it's not, you didn't endorse nobody, you just you DJ'd a party.
But those are bots. And then it's entertainers who was getting behind it and trying to make something out of it, which to me is like, most of those guys, they live off of the internet and live off of that energy. The things that I do, even if I would have done it for him and hung out with him and took a picture with him, can't none of you motherfuckers tell me what I can and can't do. But I'm not a politician. I don't represent the Republican Party. I don't represent the Democratic Party. I represent the motherfucking gangster party. Period, point blank. And G shit, we don't explain shit.
What is he doing?
He's beginning to believe.
So that's why I didn't explain. That's why I didn't go into detail when my was trying to counsel me and say he a sellout. Even on my Instagram page, like after that, I would post shit and I see my like, oh, he a sellout. You know what I would do? Jump right in they motherfucking DM with a video. You ass nigga, what's happening, nigga?
Shut your
Snoop Dogg, nigga, what you want to do? And guess what they would do? Oh man, I'm just a fan, man. I didn't really. I'm sorry, man, Snoop. Yeah, nigga, you got me up, nigga. I jump all off in your shit, nigga, and talk to you face to face. Don't hit me on no he a sellout on Instagram or this and that.
What is he doing?
He's beginning to believe.
A man who does not explain things, explaining himself at length, on record, to the people he said he did not owe an explanation to. That is not a man who does not explain things. That is a man who knows the explanation does not hold and is hoping the posture buys him enough room to move past it. Second move, threaten. When fans kept pushing back on social media, Snoop did not make the argument better. He found them personally, slid into DMs with a video. You ass nigga, what's happening? I'm Snoop Dogg. What you want to do? And every single time, the fan backed down. Oh man, I'm just a fan, I'm sorry. And that is the move. Not winning the argument, making sure nobody feels safe enough to keep making it. Then comes the post, Instagram. Snoop sitting in a car, gospel music playing in the background. For all the hate, I'm going to answer with love. Still a black man, still 100% black.
For all the hate, I'm gonna answer with love. Y'all can't hate enough on me, I love too much. We gotta learn to pick each other up instead of pulling each other down. All out till you ball out, or till you fall out. Get your life right. Stop worrying about mine. I'm cool. I'm together. Still a black man. Still 100% black.
Still a black man. You only need to remind people of that when you just did something that made them question it. Before we go further, let's give Snoop his best argument, because the weakest version of this video just calls him a sellout and moves on. And that is not what this is. The 30 for 30 case is actually not stupid. 30 minutes at a party versus 30 years of community work. Football leagues for kids in Long Beach. Feeding programs. Genuinely showing up for people who needed it. That is real. That is documented. And the argument that one performance does not erase 30 years of good, some people believe that. Reasonable people. People who have been following Snoop since Doggy Style dropped and watched him show up for the community in ways that never made headlines. So here's the one thing I will give him. The 30 minutes itself, maybe that is defensible. Maybe you can argue he went in, got paid, and kept it moving without it meaning anything about his politics or his loyalty. But here's what you cannot argue away. You cannot call people Uncle Toms for 30 minutes on that stage and then do 30 minutes on that stage and then say the 30 years of good work is what defines you, because you already defined what those 30 minutes meant in 2017 in your own words. The 30 for 30 math only works if you never ran the numbers yourself first. Snoop did, and then he changed the equation without telling anybody. And Charlemagne, as expected, backed him up the whole way. If you want to know why that is not surprising at all, watch my video on Charlemagne after this one. I'll remind you later. August 2025. Snoop goes on a podcast called It's Giving. Lightyear comes up, the Pixar movie. There's a scene in it where a same-sex couple raises a child together. Snoop talks about watching it with his grandson, and here's what he said. She had a baby with another woman. She's a woman. How she have a baby with a woman? His grandson is asking him questions he says he does not have answers for. And then Snoop adds, "If me up. I'm scared to go to the movies now."
Well, my grandson in the middle of the movie like, Papa Snoop, how she have a baby with a woman? She a woman. Oh, I didn't come in for this. Just came and watched the goddamn movie. Hey man, watch the movie. So it's like, I'm scared to go to the movies now. Like y'all throwing me in the middle of I don't have an answer for it.
A few moments later.
2 months later, Snoop Dogg partnered with GLAAD, a non-profit LGBTQ advocacy organization.
How? Hold on, bro.
Dropped a song called Love is Love on his children's animated show Doggyland. Same-sex families on screen. Lyrics about how love has no limits. He sat down with an openly gay former contestant from The Voice and talked about inclusion being powerful.
Y'all know what's going on, and so do I.
August 13th, scared to go to the movies. October 14th, Love is Love. 62 days, no interview explaining what changed, no acknowledgement of the August comments, no I've been thinking about this and I got it wrong, just new song, new partnership, new optics. Move along. Nothing to see here. The internet saw it immediately. Headlines called it a PR cover-up. No one is falling for this. It's embarrassing. And the reason people saw through it so fast is because by October 2025, some of them had already watched him run this same sequence on Trump. The posture changes. The contradiction never gets addressed. Carry on. There it is again. 2 months is not enough time to genuinely change your mind about something you hold deeply. That is enough time to read the backlash, assess the damage, and call your PR team. Real growth has a paper trail. It has an awkward interview where you try to articulate what shifted. It has a moment where you reference what you said before and explain why you see it differently now. It has friction because changing your mind about something real is uncomfortable, and discomfort leaves evidence. What 2 months from scared to go to the movies to love is love looks like is a man who understood the optics were bad and moved to correct them without touching the underlying comment. The GLAAD partnership addressed the accusation. It did not address what he said in August. Those are two different things, and Snoop is counting on you not noticing the difference. Maybe the relationship with Doggyland was real, but a man who genuinely changed his perspective has the conversation. He says, I heard the criticism. I sat with it. I got it wrong. Snoop did not do that. He released a song. The reason it matters is because it is the third time in 15 months you can watch him respond to controversy the same way. Something happens, he dismisses it, or the posture absorbs the hit. Then he pivots to something that addresses the optics without addressing the contradiction. Dismiss, pivot, carry on. The threatened move was saved for the people who pushed back on Trump. For everything else, the pivot does the job. Because most audiences do not push back twice. One move and they move on. Snoop knows that. The playbook works because the audience keeps letting it work. So let's name it. You cannot call any of this accidental. Move 1, dismiss. Red Rocks, carry on. Crypto Ball, I DJ'd for 30 minutes. G's don't explain. The Lightyear comments, no response at all until the GLAAD deal was ready. Every time the first move is the same. Minimize the incident. Make the person raising it feel like they are overreacting. Buy time. Move 2, threaten. This one does not always go public. Sometimes it is DMs. Sometimes it is posture. What you want to do is the explicit version, but the function is the same in every case. Make the person calling it out feel like continuing to call it out has a personal cost. Most people fold. Snoop has 30 years of credibility and a fan base behind him. The math is not in the critics' favor, and he knows it. Move 3, pivot. The GLAAD partnership. The Breakfast Club appearance. The Still a Black Man Instagram post. Every pivot addresses the optics of the controversy without addressing the contradiction at the center of it. The GLAAD song never mentions the Lightyear comments. The Breakfast Club defense never mentions the Uncle Tom quotes. The Instagram post never explains what changed between stupid motherfuckers and nothing but love and respect, because the pivot is not designed to answer the question. It is designed to change the subject while looking like it is answering the question. And it works. Every single time it has worked, because the audience is ready to move on, and the pivot gives them permission to. Dismiss, threaten, pivot. 3 moves, 3 incidents, 15 months. Same sequence every time. That is not a pattern of mistakes. That is a system. And systems do not build themselves by accident. At some point, Snoop learned that this is how you survive controversy when you are big enough that the audience wants to keep believing in you. You do not have to be right. You just have to outlast the news cycle. And for a long time, the Teflon held. So why is it wearing off now? Because the Teflon was never about Snoop. It was about the audience. It was about what people needed him to be. Think about what Snoop represented for 30 years. The Long Beach G who never sold out. The one rapper who moved into gospel and kid shows and cooking competitions and Olympic coverage without ever feeling like he betrayed where he came from. He was everywhere and somehow still felt authentic. That is a genuinely rare thing in this industry. And fans protected that image because they needed it to be real. Every time something happened, every controversy, every questionable move, the audience ran the same internal calculation. 30 years of good, 1 bad moment, 30 years wins. The Teflon was not Snoop's, it was theirs. It was a belief system they built around him, and maintain themselves. But belief systems have a threshold, and the threshold is not one big betrayal, it is repetition. One incident and the audience forgives it. 2 incidents close together and they start to wonder. 3 incidents in 15 months from 3 completely different directions. Trump, the LGBTQ community, Red Rocks, and the wondering becomes a pattern they cannot unsee. The Teflon does not crack from one hit, it wears down from friction. And Snoop has been applying friction to his own image every 3 to 4 months for over a year. And here's the other thing nobody wants to say. The Olympics changed the calculus. When Snoop went to Paris in 2024 and became America's favorite uncle on NBC, the memes, the commentary, the mainstream crossover, a completely different audience started paying attention to him. People who were not hip-hop fans, people who did not know the Uncle Tom quotes, people who just knew the funny guy from the Olympics. And when that audience started seeing the crypto ball footage and the Red Rocks clip and the Lightyear comments, they did not have 30 years of goodwill to run the calculation against. They just saw the incidents, clean. 2 audiences, 2 different calculations, 1 image that could not hold both at the same time. That is why the Teflon is gone. And now you have seen it. Not just the incidents, the system behind them, the calculation behind the system, and the audience belief that made the calculation worth running in the first place. You trusted the image because the image was worth trusting. For a long time it was. That is not naivety. That is what 30 years of showing up buys you. But now you know what happens when the bag gets loud enough. You know what the pivot looks like before the press release drops. You know what carry on actually means, and you cannot unknow it. That is what changed. Not Snoop, you. The wild thing about all this is that Snoop did not hide any of it. The Uncle Tom quotes are still searchable. The crypto ball footage is still up. The Lightyear interview is still out there. The GLAAD partnership dropped 2 months days after with no explanation, and everybody just nodded along. Snoop is not the first person to run a version of this playbook, and he will not be the last. The only thing that changes is whether the audience decides the image is worth more than the accountability. That calculation happens with every icon, every generation, every 30 years of credit that gets spent down, 1 carry on at a time. He did not hide the playbook. He just counted on the audience being too invested in the image to look at it directly. And for 15 months, that bet paid off. Here's my question for y'all. Not about Snoop specifically, about the ones you are still protecting. The ones with 30 years of credit in your personal ledger. How many carry-ons do they get before you look at the pattern the same way you just looked at his? Drop that in the comments. I am reading everything. If you want to see Umar Johnson's favorite hypocrite run his own version of this exact playbook, the Charlemagne video is right there on your screen. Click now, and I'll see you on the next one. Panda out.